and against dental care.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister claims he's taking taxes off of fresh-made produce. He really does. He really does think that food comes from the grocery store, not from the farmers who actually grow the produce. That's why he, I guess, thinks he can carbon tax those farmers without taxing the food. And then you have his friend, the Maserati Marxist over there in the. Who wants to tax your gas? You're both out of touch. Canadians are out of money. How about a carbon tax election?
Colleagues, order. Order. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition had the opportunity to axe the sales tax for Canadians, and he voted against it and forced his MPs to do exactly the same. He is only interested in his own political self-interest, not interested in helping Canadians, either with a tax break for the next few months, or with dental care for vulnerable seniors across the country, or with more school food programs that will help kids and parents afford their groceries. These are the kinds of things we're doing. These are exactly the things that he is blocking.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says he's going to leave the economy to bankers. He says he doesn't think much about monetary policy, the budgets balance themselves, and that he's not very good with numbers, but he did get one thing right. He said that deficits cause inflation. So did his finance minister right before she introduced his budget, saying no deficit above $40 billion. So, straight up question, will the Prime Minister keep his word and cap the inflationary deficit below $40 billion?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I know the Leader of the Opposition is eager for our fall economic statement. If he really wants to see it, he could perhaps stop the obstruction of Parliament to allow us to move forward on dealing with Canadians and challenges that they are facing. But it's interesting that he brought up inflation once again. He stopped talking about inflation after years of railing about it because we did the work to actually bring it down, Mr. Speaker. We invested in programs that were there to support Canadians, but that didn't contribute to inflation. Inflation is now back down in the target range. Interest rates are coming down. That's why we can give a tax break to Canadians. That's why we're there.
I'm going to ask colleagues to please not take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker so that we can both hear and that people who do use translation can hear the answers to the questions. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, inflation is rising. After the inflationary spending of this Prime Minister, in fact, all four measures of inflation are higher than the Bank of Canada's target rate. And this Prime Minister's electioneering and inflationary spending will make it harder for the Bank of Canada to reduce interest rates. Interest rates on Canadians who are already struggling to pay for food and housing. Once again, this Prime Minister said he would cap his inflationary deficits at $40 billion. Will he do that? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, over the last few years, we have invested in measures to help Canadians who are struggling, whether it be dental care, whether it be more child care spaces, whether it be school food programs. These investments were all made to help Canadians. But despite these programs, inflation is nonetheless back within the Bank of Canada's target range. Now, we are bringing forward a tax break for all Canadians. But the Conservative Party is voting against that because they only care about partisanship.